to our next edition of Wednesday Lunch and Learn. This has been a great series for our supporters all across the country. What we try and do each 3 weeks out of the month is we'll feature one of our programs, and then we'll spend a couple weeks talking to our students or clients in those programs, and it's a lot of fun. What we're doing this month, and it's certainly fitting with back to school, but last week we heard from Dr. Chris Card, who talked about our child welfare programs and focused specifically on foster care and adoption. And I am just so pleased today to have Jessica Fernandez on the phone with us. You guys are going to get to hear her story today and be able to ask some questions. But she and her family have just been nominated and are the recipients of a Success Award scholarship to get some more computer technology in their household. And let me tell you why that's so important. Jessica has a family of 9. She and her husband Ronald have 2 biological children and 5 foster children, and so a family of 9. She's currently a stay-at-home mom, but she's setting the example in her family, going back to school to get her CNA license. She's been working towards an LPN, and so that she can provide better for her family. Again, there's 8 members of this family in school right now. It's incredibly challenging, and I'm just so excited to have Jessica on the phone with us today. First, I want to introduce to you Lisa Smith, and Lisa oversees our Western Territory, a lot of different programs. She's been in social services, I hate to tell people, Lisa, 33 years. The last 3 of those with Eckerd Connects as the vice president of our operations in the Western Division. And so, you know, she has been in the child welfare front as an advocate, everything from a juvenile justice grant manager, adult probation. She's been a city council member. She's worked at really all levels in this children and youth space. And with that, Lisa, I just want to have you take just a couple minutes to talk about your programs, and then introduce Ellen Stanley, if you would.
Thank you, Roy. And Roy, I feel those 33 years, trust me.
Well, I think 3 of them in your current role. So
yes,
maybe it just seems longer than it is.
Yes. Well, thank you for allowing me to talk about the Western Division. It is made up of 3 states, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Kansas currently. And I just want to touch on, in Louisiana, we provide behavioral health wraparound services, and we also do some juvenile justice programming there. And then when you come up to Oklahoma, we are 100% foster care. We do traditional foster care, therapeutic foster care, and intensive therapeutic foster care. So then you go on up to Kansas, and they do foster care with all different levels as well. And then they also do family functional therapy for juvenile justice youth. So I counted up, and we're serving on any given day about 650 children and youth through these 3 states, which to me is significant. And we have such a dedicated team of staff and providers, and you're going to hear later from Ms. Fernandez about her commitment and passion for foster care. And I might add this, we are always looking for good quality foster homes. So if anyone hears me today and is in Oklahoma or Kansas, please feel free to reach out to us because we would love to talk to you. The hardest job we have found is being a foster parent, but on the flip side, it is the most rewarding job, okay? So with that, I want to introduce our operations director, Ellen Stanley. And Ellen herself is also a rock star in that she has fostered as well. So Ellen brings a lot of expertise to this role. So with that, I will turn it over to Miss Stanley.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Like Lisa said, I'm the operations director for our Kansas programs, and the program that we're looking at today is our foster care program. And with our foster care program, we have approximately 70 homes and about 115 kids on any given day that we're serving. And we've got some amazing homes, and the foster home and the foster parents we're going to talk about today are truly amazing. Mr. and Mrs. Fernandez came to our program approximately a year ago. They've been foster parents for about 5 years, and we nominated them. Actually, their worker, Connor Stolley, I'll give a big shout out to her. She does a great job. She came to me, and we nominated this family for the award because of all of the great things that they're doing. This is a family that just gets it done. No matter what they need to do, they get it done. They go above and beyond what they're supposed to do, and they never complain. And I tell you, we just see great things all the time coming from this, and all of the good stuff that they're doing with kids and families. And we are so fortunate to have this family in our program, and just can't say enough good things about them. So,
well, it takes one to know one. You are truly, one. For 10 years, that's just something amazing. Thank you so much for what you do, and how you serve us and serve our foster families. If we could, Jessica, would you just take story, and again, take not necessarily your bio, but I just want to hear about your heart. Tell me about your kids. Tell me what led you into this foster care space, and what your why you do what you do. Jessica?
Can you hear me?
We sure can. And
okay. No echoes. Well, a little bit about myself is I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and we moved to Puerto Rico at a very young age, and then moved to Kansas, not knowing any English. So it was really hard for our family. We struggled quite a bit. I lost my father at a very young age. So I could definitely relate to these kiddos when they kind of have been discriminated against, or I've even had a kiddo here that doesn't speak English, and that was fun because all the kiddos here wanted to learn Spanish when she was here. But
you helped us with mentoring Spanish kids.
I love it. So I lost my dad when I was young at 9. So I witnessed my mom struggle, and just kind of little by little, just seeing how hard it is to raise a child, just by watching my mom, and just kind of was raised around a lot of strong women. So then I had my daughter at an early age. So I have a 19-year-old daughter. I'm 37, so had her early. I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son. So I definitely, again, could relate to a lot of the things these kids have been through, because I was a single mom for a long time. But I always stuck by my kids' side. And that's one thing they know, that mom will never give up on them. So, I got a degree in administrative justice. I wanted to translate for the FBI and do all these great things, and then found out that you have to work at night. So I had to kind of pull that away because I didn't want to stay away from my kiddos. So that led me to working out of school. I worked at one school. It was an elementary school for a year. And that's kind of where my heart started opening up to foster care. started seeing so many different kids come into the school, just not taken care of. And then seeing some foster parents that weren't taking care of the kids, so they were in it for the wrong reasons, which is just heartbreaking for me, because I'm a strong believer, if you don't love what you do, don't do it. So then I went to work at a middle school, and because of the schedule, it was an earlier schedule, I could be with my family more. And I didn't really want to go to work at that middle school because it was a really bad neighborhood, but took it on. And that's when my heart just opened. I started meeting so many kids that were teenage girls and boys that were in gangs or, jumping from home to home. And one day on the last day of school, a girl came to me and said, "Miss Jessica," and I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Do you know how many homes I've been in?" She was 13. And I said, "How many?" She goes, 23. I gave her a hug and I said, "You have a good summer." Walked away. I just went to the bathroom and bawled, because I'm like, no girl, little girl or boys, but no child should go through that. So I definitely try to keep those here as long as I can. My husband kind of got thrown into this. He wasn't a foster parent at first, but he knew that I came with a little tribe. So he's in it now, and he is part of it, and he loves it. My husband was actually in foster care when he was younger. So I feel like we're a really good team together, because on some of the things that I don't understand, he does. So it works. I just love it. I really do. Right now, I have a passion for it. I want to keep doing it. I just love seeing a kid come in and they're a whole different kid once they go back home, or once they get to age out, or whatever the case is. They get that confidence back. And that is why I love doing what I'm doing. So I can keep going all day if you want me to. But I really do love doing this. Right now, this is my passion, and I don't want to stop. I love it.
Let me throw the thing out, and just like your response to this. One of the things is just young down at myself.
Hey, Roy.
Yes.
I don't know if anyone else is having this issue, but your sounding, your audio is very strange right now.
The volume down. Can you hear me now?
No, it sounds very.
Sounds like what? Hold on. How about now? Can't hear me.
Roy, you're sounding like Darth Vader, which is entertaining, but
Hey, Roy, I don't mind asking some of the questions if it's easier.
Yeah, that would be great right now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Jessica, that was really good information, and a great, gave us a great background for how you got into foster care. And that helps a lot, because we all know that you have to have a passion in order to make a difference. And could you maybe share a little bit of advice that you might have for someone who's considering to be a foster parent?
Absolutely. I feel like they definitely need to have some sort of support group. When I came into this, one of my friends, she has been a foster parent for about 20 years. I am trying to get her with Eckerd. She's just moving slower than I want her to move. But just have a support system. Ask questions. A lot of people get scared to ask, just to not look like they don't know what they're doing, but ask a ton of questions. And a mentor definitely helps coming into this brand new, because I came into this not knowing anything. And I was a single parent, and I just went in full force. But yeah, definitely having a support system helps so much.
Right. That's good advice. And I would agree with that too, because that makes all the difference. If you feel like that you have the support, you can continue to, hang on with the kids and work through any of those behaviors and stuff that come up if you just have the support you need. So,
Right. And just kind of knowing like the ins and outs and just the rules. Cause me, like I'm super affectionate with my kiddos. So a lot of the things that you can do with your own, you can't do with foster kids. Like, for example, I'll have a movie night with my kids and we'll all lay on my bed and have popcorn. Well, that's not appropriate to have kids on your bed at the same time. So just things like that that you would normally do as a parent with your own kiddos, but can't do with foster kids. So it's hard. So now we all go to the living room and just form what do they call it? Forts everywhere, and it's just a big old blanket mess everywhere, but they love it.
right. Well, that's really good. I tell you, whenever you look back over these last 5 years that you've been fostering, and you think about all of the different experiences that you've had and all of the different things that you've probably learned along the way. And I know if you're like me, you've kind of had to learn things the hard way sometimes. And that's always good information that you can share with others. Can you think of anything that you would want to do differently or share with the group about lessons that you've learned over the years since you've been doing this?
I think one of the things that I struggled with at first, because I'm so protective with my kids, we were raised as you don't stay the night in nobody's house, and is there boys there? If there is, you can't go over, is there dad there? And I'm kind of like that with my kiddos. Like my daughter wants to stay the night somewhere, and I talk to the parents, and I ask all those weird questions that I hated that my mom would ask, like, is there a boy living here? And is there a male dog? Whatever. I just wanted to know. One of the things that it was hard for me, just because, like I said, we grew up with such a strict family and very protective, is trying to not show my emotions when the kids would tell you their story. It's hard just to hear as a mom just what these kids go through and just how much it hurt them. So that's been really hard. I mean, definitely now I kind of have it down to a T. I kind of keep a straight face, but it's almost like you don't want to be like, when you hear what they've gone through. It's just really hard in the beginning to not react. And then them giving the parents visits after they've done these things to these kids is just like, you can't say anything but just kind of keep a straight face and hope for the best. But that was definitely one thing that was very hard for me, was just my keeping a straight face.
Is my mic any better? No, it's not.
It's a little bit better.
All right. Yeah, if you can hear me, can you hear me? Is it any better at all?
Yeah.
Oh, it's better now.
The one thing that jumped out in your application, Jessica, and for folks that don't know what Marita, Shirley, and I do, we review every one of these applications based upon the guidelines that were set forth by our board of directors a few years back. And, we look at every one and we see the sacrifices you're making. We also, one of the things we asked an applicant to do, in addition to what Ellen's team and Connor wrote about you, is your own statements. And one of the things that just jumped off the page, it just touched our hearts, is how you referred to your kiddos as your children. And it's just so obvious that you've got, that is one of the unique things I think about Eckerd's program. We have, obviously, with all the remedial, all the training, everything we do for these parents, the goal is always to try and reconcile a family. But in those cases where they can't be, the number of foster families that we have that actually adopt is just off the charts. And it's because we have people like you with such a heart to be able to treat these children who were not yours biologically, but treat them just as you've just said, just like my own biological kids, and laying out those rules and guidelines and being that tough mom. We just knew that was the kind of mom you were, and why you were so deserving of this award.
I appreciate that. One of the things that I did tell my worker, Connor, is after doing foster care for so long, like when you go out grocery shopping or whatever the case is, and you see a foster parent, you can kind of tell which ones are foster kids. That really drives me nuts. So all of our kids at our home, they dress the same. Their hair is all done nicely. Like we don't leave the house unless everybody looks good, but they all get treated the same. They all get the same gifts. There's no difference as far as birthdays, Christmas, whatever the case is. Even Valentine's, we celebrate every holiday you could possibly think about. But I just want to make sure that when we are out and about, I know people probably look at me and think, oh my God, those are all her kids. They all look different, but it doesn't matter to me. They all look the same. They all feel good. Their confidence is sky high. I don't want people seeing a difference. And that's one thing that I have noticed being a foster parent, that you see people and they don't care. They just, like I said, they're in it for the wrong reason. And that's not what I want for mine. So we try to build a relationship with all of them. So when they leave, they know they're always welcome here and they have a family here. Because it's not just me in this. My family is in this too. My mom, my aunts and uncles, they're a little older. My cousin, he's in his 40s, but they're all super involved, like with all of our kiddos. There's no difference. So that's one thing that I wanted to mention, because it just really drives me insane when I'm walking around in public and I could see how some of these foster parents treat these kids. I don't like differences.
Wow. That brings such dignity to the young people in our program, and they bring us so much. Talk to me about what each of these foster children, and your own children for that matter, your biological children, they're all your children, as your application said, but what, and I know we have to be careful with regard to anonymity and all that kind of stuff, but talk to me about the personality traits and what each of those young people have brought to your family. What's the one unique thing each of these young people in your household, what's one unique thing about each of them you could tell us?
So our home actually, I'm going to say about 3 weeks ago now, went from 9 to 11. My daughter lived in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and her home was hit by the hurricane. So temporarily, her husband and her have moved in into our guest bedroom. So we do have a house full. But let's just start from my oldest one.
I am sorry. You were just saying.
It's fun. We all have fun. My oldest daughter she's very serious, but she is so funny. So like when she says something, you're like, wait a minute. And then it's like just funny for everybody, because you don't expect that coming from her, because her face is always so, that's number one. And she's also in school as well. So there's actually 10 people in school here right now. My husband's the only one not going to school. He's over it at this point. But I have her, and then I have my 14-year-old. She is the sweetest thing you'll have ever met. Like, she wants to be a therapist for marriage and family, and I could just totally see that in her. She is very loving. My son, which is, you can see his name on the bottom of my screen name, is Jason, and he is 5 and he thinks he's 21 and he wants to marry every girl he sees. That's just how he is. So we'll see how that goes. I actually wrote down some of the kiddos, but I just put them as numbers so I don't have to say their names. So kid number 1, I've had her the longest, I think 3 years now. She's always so happy and loving and just happy to be in a family. She's probably the one that's been through the most, probably the worst experience. And that's the one that I had to try to keep a straight face with, because I was just like, it's just really hard to try to understand why a parent would do something, like that. But we plan to keep her until she was like 22. As long as she can stay in the system, we want to have her here. She is our baby. That's what we call her. She is special education, so she is a special needs kiddo. And she knows it. She'll walk around and say, I'm mom's favorite, which I don't ever say yes or no, but I think she kind of knows that she's one of my favorites.
I'm here with my mom right now, and I say the same thing.
Yeah, we adore her, and she knows it. They all know it, but we adore all of them. But that one is just, she got my heart. I have another one that is, they're all sweet. I have another one that is sweet and funny. She's kind of had a rougher life, so she's used to people abandoning her. So every now and then she'll test me to see if I'll give up on her. And I had to sit down with her and say, look, I'm not giving up on you. So do whatever you want to do, but you're stuck with me. So she is starting to understand that. It makes it really hard sometimes because her mom keeps coming in and out of her life. So trust is really hard for her. But she does know that I'm not giving up. And they write letters constantly. These kids, I have notes for days from these kiddos, but she's understanding little by little, but I'm not going to give up on her. She needs to understand that there are people that truly care about you and are going to stick with you regardless of the problem. So we work through things, and she's just getting there. My other one is the sweetest thing in the world with all the adults. So my bio family, she is super sweet, very loving, but extremely jealous. One kiddo wants to talk to another one and not her. She gets really mad, and she'll hide like their lotions or just little things like that. But she does little things to get under their skin. So she's the one that I've had almost 2 years, and it's just something every day. But again, we're not giving up on her. Let me see, that was number 3. So number 4, this one's just super relaxed and just laid back. She goes with the flow. She just wants to do whatever she can so she can get back home, which is understandable. And then my last one, she's super quiet. I mean, you could barely get a few words out of this one. She just kind of smiles, and that's it with her. She's just happy to be somewhere. And she gets her weekly visits and good with it. So every one of them is very different. I mean, they're really good, but they're different. But they all know that my goal, and that's one thing I tell them all when they first come here, is my goal is not to keep you here or keep you away from your family. My goal is to help you get back with your family. So they do know that, and they understand that. And we talk about things like before they go on a visit. Like, I'm like, make sure you behave, make sure you're good with your worker. So it's a lot of pep talks. And with 5 teenage girls, that could be very time consuming because they'll talk. Girl number 4 will talk all day if you let her. But it's just, they know I have their back, and that's what kids need. As long as they know you have their back, that they're happy, and they're all really content because of that. I can't hear you, Roy.
There you go. How about that? Yeah, everybody's saying things like, Jessica, you and your family are angels. Great work. But the one question was, when you first moved into this space of foster care as a single parent, talk to me about your fears. It's so great that Ronald came along and is all bought in and plugged into this now. But but what was it like at first, moving into foster care as a single parent?
Am I going to do this right? That was my biggest fear, just because I'm working from a school, working at a school that the kids were really rough. The neighborhood was really rough. I'm like, am I going to be able to handle this? How will this affect my kids? Because that's always a concern. I ask a ton of questions before we get a kid coming in here, just to make sure that my kiddos aren't affected either. But just making sure I'm doing it right. Huh?
Hold on. Answer that question that you just asked yourself. How will this impact my kids? How has it impacted your kids?
Well, it's impacted them in a great way. I will say that. And that was one thing I worried about, like, are they going to not have enough attention? I got into this, my son was 1. So, I mean, he was almost 1. So it was really scary. They appreciate a lot. So I wish I could have started fostering a long time ago, because they see the struggles these kids go through and they see how good they have it. So, I mean, it has impacted them in a good way. There's a lot of schedules here. So everybody kind of has their own time, but it's impacted them good. They're happy. They're happy that we're doing this. And one of the things I do tell kids is that if you feel like this is too much, then we need to sit down and talk, because I don't want this to affect my kids either. But as of right now, everybody's happy. They've built relationships together. So it's been good. And like I said, my son has a lot of sisters, and we've had to kind of tell him, hey, these are your sisters. You can't marry them. So, he wants to marry all of them. He thinks they're all beautiful. So, but it's been good.
Oh, that's neat. We had another question come in. Do you walk us through, and I know you mentioned some of the very difficult situations with the biological parents of some of the foster girls and the challenges there, but how have you overcome that, and how do you work with those parents, and what's that process been like for you? It sounds like it has been stressful, but people are just wondering how you're coping with that.
I've been pretty fortunate, to be honest with you, to not really deal with a lot of the parents, because some of their rights have been terminated because of how awful they have been as a parent to some of my kids here. I actually met a family almost 2 months ago, and we worked out pretty good. I mean, they were super nice when they met me. I've had a family that were really mean and, try to argue with me in front of their kids. It's just, being mature and having self-control. I mean, really, because, I had a family at one point come to my car, and I was picking up the kids, and the stepmom was trying to argue with me. She was late, and I had to call because my case, she's not here. It's been like 30 minutes, and she came to my car just arguing, and I just stayed quiet and kept it moving. But you just got to think about the kids. And my, train of thought is, how would I want somebody to act in front of my kids? So I'm pretty easygoing. I could talk to anybody and without a problem. You just got to be ready for it, because some are really nice and some are just really over the top. But I've had a lot of support from Eckerd, with the family that was over the top, and they supported me 100%. And it felt really good to have support like that.
Wow, that's just the maturity involved there. Great work, Jessica. That's all I can tell you. Great work. It really is just touching, hearing about the impact that these young people are having on your life, and just, how you're giving and helping one another. And again, I talk to me about the technology need. I get, and you still don't have all the technology you need with that household right now. But what other kinds of needs are there? It is just so special to hear your passion in how you even, making sure that you look nice when you leave home, that you clean clothes and all that kind of stuff. Talk to me about some of the needs that you have that are a struggle for you right now.
Right now, I'm actually, after my worker comes today, I have to go to the school and pick up a hotspot. There's so many kids online all day that when my son, if you guys notice on my screen name, it says Jason, that's my son's name. So we're kind of sharing computers right now. So this computer has kind of been passed around for therapy, for visits when WebEx parent meetings or whatever. And so it has been a struggle with laptops, and then the Chromebooks that they do give the kids for school, the programs don't work. So it has just been a mess. But just the internet has been a struggle, and everybody trying to get in at the same time and sharing a computer and trying to schedule therapy sessions for 5 different kids to make sure they don't interrupt one session. So it's been a struggle. To say the very least, it has been a struggle trying to get this all situated. I've had to give them my phone to do therapy sessions as well. But then my phone is tied up for an hour, and whoever calls, I can't answer. And I constantly have someone calling, a worker or, my son's parents, or there's always somebody calling. So it has been something, I will tell you that. So having another computer will definitely be a blessing. It will open up a lot more lines for us, especially with communicating with workers. And if I need anything from any of the other kiddos workers as well, it will help a huge amount.
Awesome. Well, it is, you have no idea how you've touched our hearts today. And I'm going to try and save all these comments for you in the chat room, but just dozens of people have just reached out and just said how inspiring you are. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you. I just can't imagine the impact you're having on the lives of young people. They're going to remember this experience the rest of their life. And I'm sure they're not all good days. I just can't tell you enough all the comments we're seeing saying thank you.
With that comment that you said, it sometimes there isn't good days, and that is very true. There's days that are not good days. And that's one thing I tell the girls. There's days that you're going to love me and want to be here for the rest of your life, and there's days you're going to hate me. And that's okay. I'm okay with you hating me, and I'm okay with you loving me, as long as you understand at the end of the day why you're mad. Because when the girls do something here and they get in trouble or whatever the case is, we sit down and talk. This is why you're grounded. This is how long you're grounded for. I'm not mad at you, but I got to hold you accountable. So there are days that are not good. There are days that are amazing. But it works for us.
The more you talk, the more excited I get about our program. Thank you so much. It is so special. It has been such an honor to share a few minutes with you today. I just want to remind folks, and we've got some supporters on the call with us today. These success awards right now, the majority of the requests we get are for technology. And so
Can't hear you.
yeah. Now, right? Hold on, let me try. Can you hear me? How about now? You can? Okay. But I just want to kind of close by saying that the Success Awards right now, because of a gift from a foundation, the National Foundation for Youth, have a 2-to-1 matching gift. And for every dollar that you give, they're going to match it with 2. And that enables us to help families like Jessica Fernandez, to help her get the technology needs that her kids have. That's the number one request right now. We get applications every day. And because of COVID-19, because of so many kids having to be at home, they need the technology. And it really is a special need. You can change a life in these homes. You can change many lives in these homes. And so again, if there's one way you could help us, I want to encourage you to give to our Success Award matching gift fund right now, so that we can come alongside these families, like the Fernandez family, Jessica and Ronald, and help them and help their children with these technology needs. Jessica, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Just anything else as we close today? I just wanted to give you one last chance here. So anything at all?
Yeah, actually, I do want to say thank you. From the bottom of all of our hearts in our home, we truly appreciate all the support that we have gotten. It is a blessing. When Connor called me and told me, Connor's my worker, and called me and told me, I was just like jumping, like, oh, we got another computer. So it's so nice that somebody thinks about other people and does things like this. It just made us feel really good and really grateful, and just appreciated too, for what we're doing. And I don't do this for recognition. That's not, a lot of people, and my worker knows, on my Facebook, people don't really know that I'm a foster parent. I don't do it for that. I do it for the kids. And everybody else that sees me, like I said, in the street, they think these are all my kids, and I'm okay with that too. It's fine. But I do appreciate all the support and just the generosity. It's truly a blessing, and just thank you again.
Well, thank you, Jessica. And please grab that husband of yours and you give him a big hug tonight. And you tell him thank you from Eckerd Nation. Grab each one of those girls, each one of your children, all of them, all of them, all 7 of them, 11 in your house right now because of the storm. Love on them for us, would you? Hug them, tell them we appreciate them. Thank you so much. Next week, we'll be interviewing another piece of our foster care program. So I want you to join us next week for Lunch and Learn. We'll be getting an announcement out. Jessica Fernandez, thank you so much. You honored us today. Thank you. And love on that family for us. Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you again.
Jessica, you did a great job. Thank you.